All right, so we are officially live on Facebook. Today is May 12th. This is Reflection Artist Live number 28. We have special guest Mike Dickson, owner of PDP, Professional Detailing Products. He's been in the industry for 41 years. He's been involved in the industry at many different levels. He's 2017 IDA president. Who has actually, in my getting into it as vice president, he helped coach me a little bit, so that helped a lot. But yeah, so with Mike, thank you for being on, and it's huge because you have a lot of experience and a lot of background in our detail industry. I mean, PDP was what was it? Ohio Auto products, and that started, you said 1933, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been around a while. So these are another one of these legacy brands, and people, or I should, someone that's in charge of a legacy brand as owner, that we're able to talk to, like other brands we've had on the podcast as well. But this is great because there's a lot of history there. So I'm gonna hand it over to Mike. He's gonna give us some background on how he got started in the wonderful world of detailing and where it all started at for him. So thank you, Mike.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Justin. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I guess I'll tell you a little bit about the history of Ohio Auto Supply and how it evolved into PDP. We'll start at the beginning. 1933, my grandfather, a Russian immigrant in the middle of the Depression, started a wrecking yard, called it Ohio Auto Supply. In 1947, moved to a different location. My dad joined him after coming back from overseas, World War II. And they ran Ohio Auto Supply, supplying professional mechanics in the area with auto parts. In 1970, my dad decided to take on a detailing line, which there wasn't many at the time. In Ohio, and probably nationwide, there was Blue Coral, Simonized, and Pro. Pro started also in 1935, by the way. And Pro was geared to dealerships, professional detailers. So he started distributing Pro. I joined him in 1980. In 1983, we decided to start to manufacture some of our own products. We got a tank, and we started to blend 5 products. Now it's evolved into our full complete line today.
Was that quite the task to take on in regards to going from, just selling and distributing to actually manufacturing the products?
I'm sorry, what was the question? The task?
Was it quite the task to take on to transition from, selling the products and being a distributor to actually manufacturing them? Yeah,
well, I could tell you an interesting little part at the beginning there. So I joined him in 1980, working on the counterman, auto parts. Of course, I'd worked in high school too, So we distributed Pro. We had a salesman, an outside salesman. I believe Carbright got started in 1981, about the same time. They solicited our salesman, who one day he handed his notice and said, "I'm sorry, I'm leaving." And he went to sell our customers Carbright. Obviously, we had to do something. I knew nothing about detailing. I went on the road the next day trying to keep those customers, and there began my journey in detailing. I started to learn from our customers and suppliers about detailing, and that's how it started. So 1983, we met a formulator, and that was a whole other thing. I was the blender. I did everything in regards to that. Ordered the raw material, blended the products. So that started the journey of PDP then, 1983.
It was more simple then, because you only had 5 that you had to blend, right?
Yeah, we had tire cleaner, interior cleaner, car wash soap, glass cleaner, and solvent. That was it at the time.
Simple.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can continue with that. So basically, I could jump forward to, well, Ohio Auto Supply sold AC Delco, Motorcraft. It was growing, but at the same time, the detailing division of the business was also growing. They were growing side by side. And in 2009, I had an opportunity to sell off the auto parts side of the business just to concentrate on what really interested me and what was my passion was the detailing side of the business. So 2009, we didn't sell auto parts anymore. That's just been 11 years, and our growth has been pretty explosive since
I'm
then.
sure you retain still a lot of customers because at this point, they were probably buying both, parts and chemicals from you for the most part, right?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. In Northeast Ohio, that's how we evolved, calling on the dealerships, shops. We still service a lot of the same dealerships, of course. And then, we've also expanded our reach. We have distributors. We started that about 15 years ago. And we have distributors who resell our products in the Eastern United States.
Now, do you have also trucks on the road as well, distributing as far as directly from your location for the local dealerships and detail departments?
Because we evolved that way, we still service Northeast Ohio. We did have trucks, but when we started to manufacture, we sold so many drums that we found that we always had to go back. We never had everything that the customer needed. You can only have, excuse me, so many drums on a cube truck. So now what we do, and it seems to be more efficient for the salespeople too, they can make more stops. They don't have to deal with delivering the product. And then we deliver it 2 days afterwards.
Oh, wow. Very nice.
Yeah. So we have 3 vehicles right now for our local area, 2 cube trucks and a transit van.
So you said your dad having it, or your grandfather starting, or your dad having it, at what point did you feel you wanted to take on that next role in taking over the business? Was that something that kind of you were just going to follow in the footsteps already, or was that something that kind of dawned on you that this is something you really wanted to make your own and make it your baby and continue the overall legacy?
Right. I took over in '95. My dad semi-retired. It took me a while. I mean, I had some wanderlust in me when I was young. I admit I sowed some oats, So I graduated high school in 1970, finished college in '74, excuse me. And I lived in Boston till 1980, and then came back and joined my dad in the business. Yeah.
So you had to break away and live a little bit before you fully committed.
Oh yeah. I had to, and that way you make sure that it's what you really want to do. You just didn't step into something. You paid your dues. I ended up paying my dues here, obviously, and I always appreciated so much the relationship with my dad. He never pressured me to do anything, and you hear so many stories about sons and dads in business. We went to lunch just about every day, from the store here, and I could probably count on 2 fingers the arguments we had.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
so he was a great man.
That is awesome. So with that and taking that transition in your involvement throughout the years, were you in to like just detailing cars at all? Did you get your hands on detailing cars for friends, family, or anything like that? Or did you stay just more so on just the business side of things?
I did, I got into, obviously I tested and used all the products that we have. There's only so much detailing you can do when you're running a business, managing the production, shipping, distribution, marketing, all that.
All the hats.
But so, and then as years go by, obviously, I look for the best employees. And I'm grateful for all my employees too. I mean, they understand at this point, I believe it's safe to say they understand a lot more than I do about each product, but
You've got a good team there, and they've been with you for a while. You don't have much of a turnaround, correct? You have guys that have been with you for quite a long time.
we do. Yeah. Very lucky. I'm so grateful for the crew. Mike Pulaski's been with me. My gosh, it'll be 30 years. He joined me in 91. Yeah. He's a general manager, does a great job. Jean Harding, awesome job. Also, she's operations manager, runs office and operations, general operations of the store. And I would say she's been with me for, Jean, I hope I'm right on this, 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you have a employee base that continues the brand following, that says a lot for leadership and also the culture of the business as well. That's a good thing.
Yeah. An employee base, you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yes. Your employee base, when they over time, continue to stay with you, and you have that brand culture and that relationship, it's such an amazing thing because, like you said, they understand a lot of what's going on around you, sometimes more than you do, because you're focused on one thing, and that their job is to focus on the tasks at hand that they are, their titles for. But yeah, it just helps everybody run together in harmony.
Absolutely. And they're empowered to do just about everything. So, and by now, like you say, we all pretty much are on the same wavelength. They know how I think, I know how they think. So it works well.
So
we're looking for more employees right now too. So, I mean, it's hard to find at the moment. I think everybody's experiencing that.
If you're in the Ohio area and you want to get with a good company, there you go. Now, with the growth of your product line, going from that 5 and growing, was that based on like a supply and demand of what you were seeing in the market on what consumers were looking for, and you just started basically taking that under development? Because I noticed, even with first meeting you and seeing the development of your ceramic line, it's evolved a lot. So I'm sure there's a good story behind that as well in regards to how your products evolved, and you've added obviously a lot more since then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're from the beginning, from those 5 products in 1983, we started adding on everything that was needed. And we've always been about that. I always want to have, I always tell my employees, we want to have 10 to 20 new products a year. Now, it may be something small, maybe something big, but that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it interesting, is to find the innovative products that help people solve problems or just do a job better, do it more efficiently, save money. That's really our mission. That's why we're here, So we've always had that focus to add a line, and we still do. We're still, that's why we always go to SEMA, we always go to MT conventions, along with everything else that's involved with it. But that's our focus. And that's what makes it fun,
Yeah.
And interesting.
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what would you say, roughly speaking, what your how many products you're manufacturing now from that 5?
You know, that's such a good question. We had never stopped to count. Um, and we just finished our print paper catalog. It's at the printer right now. And I would say in every permutation of a product, of the different products, probably 100, 150, somewhere in
Wow.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
awesome.
mean, don't quote. I mean, I'd have to, if somebody wants to know exactly, I'd get them an exact number.
Yeah, no.
But it's a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, if you would come to my showroom, and I know obviously Clint's been here, you know, you would understand that I just want to have everything. That's how I've always been. You know, I want to have everything for everybody. That might be confusing to some people, but it creates a lot of choices. And if it's something new or different or unique, I want to have it. So whether it be a chemical or equipment. So when you go to my showroom, I'm always stressing to my employees, and it's hard because we're selling stuff and they're running out of stuff, supply chains, but I want, you know, difficult, but I want everything to look overflowing. I want it to look like a candy store, you know.
And you've not just, you know, obviously your storefront has all of your products, but you've got other lines from other brands in there, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of speaks to what I was referring to. So we manufacture our own line, complete line, but we also give our customers all the other choices. So, you know, we carry, of course, Rupas, Flex, G-Technic, on and on, Sonex, 3M, a little bit, you
No,
know.
they don't need to go anywhere else at that point. It's all one-stop shop.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that concept because that gives you or a consumer the opportunity, if they thoroughly enjoy obviously your products, they have their place to go. But if they also want to try something, they don't have to go nowhere else. Or if they're in love with a product that that's what they like, they have it there on top of being able to pick up your stuff of why that put them there. But overall, it just keeps them in-house, you know?
Yeah. They're brand loyal to a certain product. And it gives them choices they can choose. Sometimes, you know, different products are better for different projects. So
now you have, you know, a huge, and I've seen pictures and heard stories about, you know, the storefront is beautiful. And it is, to your point, like a candy store from what I've seen and what I've heard. But you also have a beautiful training facility that, I mean, that's been a couple of years now, but that you had kind of recently put together and modeled out, and it's a pretty much it's a badass training facility. If you could explain to me what got you into wanting to do that and how all that came about, that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, of course, I was on the IDA board in 2013, but we've always been involved with education and training. We've had an annual seminar here. We call it a seminar. A free day. People come, you know, we'd have 100 people here before we had the training center. We started in the late 90s. And we've always stressed education. I can remember even in the 80s, we used to, before there were computers, we used to cut and paste these special sheets together and, you know, have a tip of the week or give away a free 5-gallon for somebody who contributes the best, you know, tip of the month or something like that. We've always believed in training, and that's the way to go about it. You know, and that was back when obviously detailing wasn't really recognized as it is now.
Yes.
As an industry, you know, as a viable career, you know. So anyway, in 2015, I decided to build on to our facility here, which is 20,000 square feet, and build on 4,000 square feet with 2 detail bays and a 50-person classroom with a big screen. and you know, the detail bays have all the equipment. And we started training. Of course, we were lucky to be appointed the IDA's first recognized training center too.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. That was really neat, especially being the first one, kind of setting the stage and pioneering on something that you just built out. That was a dream, you know, training facility.
And they, you know, my dad passed in 2005, but my employees surprised me with a plaque at the dedication that dedicated it to him, you know, in memory and honor of my dad.
That's very awesome.
It was very nice. We had a grand opening, but anyway, we've been enjoying it. So you know, lately we're going to be starting classes up here soon. We've had some private classes during the pandemic. And of course, we're going to have the SV on June 21st as part of the global certified detailer skills validated testing week.
Yeah. Now, prior, you know, pre-pandemic, you were offering training with out of the facility outside of the annual seminar you were doing. Is that correct?
Yeah, prior to building this.
No. Prior to the pandemic, when everything was normal.
Right.
Yeah, you were still offering training out there. How often were you guys, you know, offering the training classes?
I believe we had about 3 or 4 a month.
Oh wow, so it was often.
Yeah, so we had a class on ceramic coating application, of course, start to finish detailing class, long stroke buffing polishing class, a class on wet sanding and edge work, and those were the basic classes. There might have been one more.
Very nice.
Yeah,
that'd be nice to get that back into full throttle with everything coming out of the pandemic now and being able to open up and do classes again. And so, but the SV in June that you're doing, the skills validation, that's going to be your first official open class other than private ones, correct?
Right. Yep. We're looking forward to that. So that should probably kick off a reopening of the classes. I would think. We haven't made that official yet, but we're thinking about that. Yeah.
Well, and anybody who's curious, that week, that time frame, if you go on the IDA website and look up events, there's going to be a lot of skills, or I should say, recognized trainers with the IDA that are going to be hosting skills validation in facilities like Mike's, which are super badass. Those are the ones that I like personally, but there's people doing it out their shops and other places as well, and other facilities. But look that up on the events calendar if you have interest in that, because that may be something that's right in your backyard that you have the opportunity to do. Just while we're on the subject, I figured I'd kind of throw that out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also let everybody know that you need to have your CD, your certified detailer testing done first. This is phase 2.
Correct. Yeah. And that's something that you could knock out online in your own time. And it's a 10-part quiz, 100 questions roughly. And it's pretty straightforward, just more the, you know, the basics of detailing. And most people that are in detailing as a business can usually knock that out pretty easy. But yeah, definitely get that first before you show up and like, I'm here for the skills validation. Yeah. Right. And then be a member too, right? Because
you got to join first. Yeah. Well, you don't have to.
You don't have to, but it's definitely less expensive on the pockets when you do the testing as a member versus not being a member. Right. But yeah, no, that's going to be really neat to see that go off, especially more of a nationwide thing. So everybody's kind of doing it together in sync. So now with everything you've done, you know, and I always like to touch on this because everybody has a different opinion when it comes to ceramic coatings in that space, right? You know, when was it for yourself that you decided to jump into that arena and start manufacturing products, you know, because now you have a great line of ceramic coating products. When was it that you decided you wanted to jump into that? Because I know in the beginning everybody thought of it more as a trend.
Right.
So what was it that triggered you to, be like, oh, this is not a trend, this is a real thing?
You're right. Yeah. And I'm trying to recall the exact year. If it was 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, it's hard for me to recall the year. The first year we went to SEMA and we saw, the ceramic coatings. We had heard about them. We hadn't seen them yet. That might have been 2014 or 15. When you first hear about something like that, you're used to all you've known in the past is paint sealants.
Yep.
And some dealerships, let's just say paint sealants are sometimes touted to be more than
Oh yeah,
they are. So that's
a lot of them come and gone. A lot of them have come and gone.
So we thought that ceramics, we weren't sure if it was real or not. We went to SEMA. We saw the displays where they take a lighter and knock on the
hood.
That's pretty cool, And then we continued to look into it, and I think it was just maybe about 6 or 12 months after that we decided that this is here to stay. So it's like any other innovation. It's like when we sold auto parts. My gosh, it might have been in the 70s or 80s when they came out with disc brakes, and people like, no, this isn't going to work. I mean, that's way before your time, I know, but it's like anything else. You have to think out of the box a little bit to get used to it.
Once you started offering it, I'm sure the pickup was slow, but now looking back on that, it was probably, you're patting yourself on the back for making the move, because now it's such a demand, right?
Well, it's important, just like we were talking previously about innovative products, to be one of the first, or to be among the first.
Correct.
To recognize the trend or recognize the product, recognize the benefit, and go with it, in my opinion. We're just starting to look at graphene now. So I think that graphene is a real thing also. And
yeah. I was going to ask next if you were going to dive into that side of it with that chemistry. I mean, I don't see it going anywhere. And just like ceramics, a lot of people threw shade on the hype of graphene. And, just like they did with the ceramic. But I feel like for some reason, graphene is taken off much faster than ceramic did, only because it has the platform of ceramic to kind of play off of. And and I see the benefits of it. And I think that's a very good move in regards to diving into that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There was some resistance to graphene also, like you said, but ceramics did pave the way for that type of thinking, and it's going to take some time for people to understand or get used to the application and the performance and the durability of graphene.
Now, what is your take or explanation if you were to explain to somebody, especially from someone like yourself who's invested as a manufacturer, distributor? How would you explain the difference between a ceramic coating and graphene to a consumer or a detailer, just so we could hear your way of throwing that out there?
Well, the differences are subtle. They're, ceramic and graphene. Of course, graphene, it's not pure graphene, obviously, because graphene is the hardest material in the world. It's a graphene oxide ceramic coating. So it's infused with graphene. And what that does, infusing it with the hardness of graphene, it gives it more tensile strength, more durability. There's tests done on a machine that will create friction similar to a car wash brushes 5,000 times, and compare it with a regular similar ceramic coating. So it lasts longer. The slide angle is a little more. So instead of maybe being 100 degrees, for example, it'd be 110.
And that's a big difference visually.
Yeah, and you know, the self-cleaning effect, everything's going to fall off it even more so. So it has a little more pop, but I think the gloss is probably pretty similar. It's more in the durability and the hydrophobicity is the improvement. So the testing has shown us that there is a difference, and we're excited about it.
Well, that's good explanation, because that validates the point where, you know, there's a lot of confusion about graphene, and that helped debunk that confusion to say your explanation, because it is, yeah, the base is ceramic formulation infused with the graphene chemistry, but it's basically an overall enhanced version of a ceramic, just to give you better results and better characteristics in regards to performance.
Right.
You know, whether it be longevity, durability, repellency, whatever the case may be, it's hitting all those platforms with much greater characteristics just by infusing that different chemistry into it. And I know a lot of people are being misled too, because a lot of times that's not explained. They think that the product is just pure graphene, like what you have said, and that's not really physically possible. So,
Right. Well said. Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
It's just fortifying it with the graphene, sort of like we've had degreaser in the past, and you add some delimonene, which is a citrus terpene, which is a great cleaner, and it just gives it a little more, gives the degreaser more punch, you know.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, and I see that. I mean, most detailers can relate to that, because they have that citrus-based degreaser, then they have the traditional red stuff. You know what I mean? The stuff that's like super aggressive, that every manufacturer has their way of making it, but no matter what, it's always red and super aggressive degreaser that needs to be diluted because how concentrated it is. But the difference between the two.
That type of degreaser was like a tire cleaner, very caustic. That's why we call ours hot stuff, or it's red hot, or
yes,
red, whatever, you know, thunder, I don't know. But it wasn't really meant to be an interior cleaner or any, I mean, it'll leave white sediment, you know, in the carpet. You know, that's not it. That evolved at dealerships just because they want, well, I want, back in the 80s or 90s, I want something cheap, you know.
Yeah.
So everybody had their cheapest degreaser.
And they can make everything out of it, right? It would depend on how they diluted it.
Yeah.
And as a dealership, that's all about being cost effective. But no, to the point of what you're saying with the citrus-based degreaser, that's where, you know, the evolution of integrating things like that made a world of a difference. Even though it was still in that category of degreasers, that little bit of a change of chemistry made that big of a difference.
Oh yeah. And we have a unique degreaser that even goes beyond the citrus. It's delimonene with other additives, but the concentration of it, the high solid part of it, is delimonene. So you can cut that, and it acts like solvent. It acts like a mineral spirit type solvent, and you can cut it with water and clean carpets, you know, take a filthy carpet and make it look like new.
Wow. What's the name of that product? Just to throw it out there.
That is concentrated oranges, the totally concentrated version. The ready to use version is called Citrus Blast.
Okay. That's good to know in case anybody had interest in that as you were explaining it. But yeah, no, and obviously this all started off the graphene idea, but the lineup of graphene that you're going to dive into, I take you're going to get into, you know, the coating, the maintenance spray. How far you plan on trying to take it in regards to that chemistry?
Well, we're just starting right now. with the coating, which has been verified to be 10H. They did the pencil test on it. And then also a so-called spray coating. In other words, it'd be a lower solids, lower loaded resin version of the 10H. So it won't last as long. It'll probably last 12 to 15 months, but it's a lot easier to apply.
Yeah, that would make sense because then it becomes more user friendly.
The other thing about graphene is it doesn't smell quite as bad, and it's easier to apply. Just there's more of an open window when you go to level it than a hard 9H ceramic coating. So I'm not sure how it imparts that characteristic to the coating, but it does.
I think that's a huge value too for the end user, the detailer or the consumer, when they're doing the application, because it allows for their application to go smoother without much resistance. Because some of these coatings that are on the market are just super tacky due to the solids or whatever it may be, right? And it makes it difficult and not a fun experience installing. And what gets me is I still see, some of these specific brands that I know personally are like that. And you still have installers that are all in with doing them and doing a lot of installs. And I don't see why they're wasting time when they could be other products, because it's all chemistry, right? I mean, we're providing essentially surface protection to our customers. So it's like, why not go with something that's going to be ease of application, still give you all the results and characteristics, but make your life less stressful and less physical.
And your employee, if you just hire a new employee, or dealerships, it's a lot easier for them to make it more foolproof. Sort of like what Rupas did and Flex with the random orbitals. For years people were using DeWalt's and Makitas, and it took them, a year to figure out to get good at it.
Yep.
Then they still could screw it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the spray-on products, I know that there was a lot of ceramic-based spray-on products, and that was always not necessarily misleading because they did perform, but different, atmospheres that they were placed in and different elements that beat up on them. Some of them wouldn't live the term that they were marketed to be. And that had nothing to do necessarily with the chemistry as much as the atmosphere they were in. And that was always a hit or miss. Even though you tested the product to last a certain way, I feel like the graphene spray-ons are now into that realm of being more successful more times than the traditional ceramic sprays that they were good, but it was hit or miss on how durable they were in different atmospheres.
Right. I think that's a great point because a lot of confusion about an actual ceramic spray versus an SiO2 silicone dioxide infused spray. The SiO2 spray is just meant to boost your coating or to help you, like if it's raining outside and someone just applied the coating to drive it from here to there, if they have to leave your shop. And that may last, 3 to 6 months. It doesn't have the resin content, the ceramic content as an actual ceramic spray. There's different levels.
100% agree. And that's where I think a lot of companies, not necessarily the manufacturers, but they're included, but they may have done some misleading information.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then they call it a ceramic spray where maybe it's just infused with a little SiO2. It's not actually, they mislabel it. There's that going on. Right.
And then the concept too of how much ceramic or SiO2 or whatever they're formulating with, how much they put in, whether it be 1%, 5%. If they put, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if they only put 1% in, like some of these that you see on the store shelves at like Walmart and AutoZone, they only put 1% in, they can actually still label it as a ceramic. Am I correct?
I believe legally they could. It's sort of like back at, 30 years ago with this paint sealants. If you put a drop of Teflon in the tank or the compounding machine, you say it has DuPont with Teflon. which actually didn't do anything,
No, but the trademark name, right? Because you could only use the Teflon name because
Well,
it was
that's true.
trademarked. Yeah. Yeah. So that makes sense. A lot of people didn't know that. In order to use the Teflon name, it had to follow with the trademark of DuPont. If it didn't, then you may be in some trouble.
Right. And ceramic, the word ceramic is just public domain, so it's not really being monitored.
No, no. And that's, I think, what leads to a lot of the misleading marketing, because the word term gets used so loosely.
Yes. Well said, exactly.
Well, good. Is there anything outside of the graphene line that you guys are looking at developing as a new line to what you already have?
Let me think. We've just taken on, we're taking on other lines. We're looking at another ceramic line right now too. We'll probably make it official here pretty soon. I don't think I can publicly announce.
That's okay. Where would they find that once you make that announcement?
Pardon me?
I said, once you decide to make your announcement in regards to that, where would they see that at? Would that be on like a social media, a newsletter?
Yeah, social media.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested.
But it's a lot of fun. We'll be down at the Southern Detailers Conference, and Mike Pulaski will be giving a class on getting to know the technology of graphene coatings there.
Ah, nice. Very nice. That's right. You guys have a booth there and everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, are you going to be attending, Mike?
I won't be able to attend, but my team will be there.
It's the first event. You got to be there. It's the kickoff to our industry, actually.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm excited about it. I'm helping behind the scenes, in every way I can.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we definitely look forward to seeing you. And as far as information on how to get a hold or get their hands on PDP products, what throw a website out there, social media?
Sure. Yeah, it's pdp.biz, B-I-Z. It's also professionaldetailingproducts.com, but pdp.biz is a lot easier to type in. And we have a Facebook page, Instagram.
And then you have of course, they have where they can find distributors through that website as well, correct?
Let's see. Can they find distributors of our product? I'm not sure we have a distributor page up yet. We should do that.
Okay.
On our website. Yeah.
That way, in case somebody's out of state and they want to look at their most local or easiest to get it shipped to instead of across the country.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me about that. We're going to update our whole website platform. That's our next project too. Yeah.
Well, you did a good job at the facility, so I'm sure that the website's going to look just as good, if not better, because it's all digital, right? There's a lot more magic that you can make happen with digital stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Well, we're getting right up on our time frame. So as far as any last words of advice you may have for somebody that is getting into manufacturing, storefront, or just the detailer in general?
I would say get involved with the IDA. It's a great synergy going on between everybody. You can only do so much with your own DNA. When you put everybody's together, that's what makes things happen. And I've always said, it's probably a worn out phrase by now, but a rising tide lifts all boats. So it's true. The other thing is, every day when you go about your business, focus on your priorities. Everybody, is always busy, but to be productive, you need to focus on the 2 or 3 key things that are your priorities. It's so easy to get sidetracked, distracted, and that's how you make things happen. So
yeah, write those things down and execute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have too many things that distract us at our fingertips. Cell phones, computers.
Absolutely.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate you being on. Again, this is Reflection Artist Live. You are our guest for number 28 of our episodes, which I hope to have you on again when we're in the 3-digit of how many episodes we've done. And, you know, your background and everything in PDP has definitely been a great asset to the detail industry. So thank you very much again. And thank you for taking the time out.
Thanks for having me, Justin. I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Mike, and I'll let you get back to your day. We appreciate you having on. And anybody who's watching, thank you. Again, you could find us on any of the podcast platforms for Reflection Artist Live. We also have a YouTube and then also on our Facebook page, whether it be directly through Buff and Shine or our Reflection Artist Facebook page. So thanks everybody for watching and have a great day. And Mike, you as well. Have a great day.
You too, Justin.
Take care.
Thanks.